evening. Welcome to Walk Away with Brandon Straka. I am not Brandon Straka. Brandon has kindly asked me to co-host this evening while he is lucky enough to be at the Dummycrats premiere that Diamond and Silk have made in Washington, D.C. This evening, we're going to have Pete Holmberg on, who is running for state senate in New York City at holmbergfornewyork.com. And then later on in the evening, we are going to speak about censorship with the Wes Cook Band. First, we're going to have Pete on. Pete?
Hi, Maria. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a very interesting time here in New York. Looking forward to talking about that with you.
Yes, absolutely. I heard you just came from a fabulous dinner.
Yes, I did. I was at the Women's National Republican Club. I was speaking there with other candidates for office. And the beautiful Ann Coulter was there. I had a wonderful dinner with her. And also Bob Hugin, who is running for U.S. Senate in New Jersey against Bob Menendez.
Wonderful. Well, it was so nice of you to rip yourself away from your dinner to come join us tonight, because all of us are pretty upset what has happened in New York at the Metropolitan Republican Club. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. I am a member of the Metropolitan Republican Club, and I'm also a tenant. My Holmberg for New York, I'm running for state senate in District 28 here in Manhattan. It is, we are based out of the Manhattan Republican Club. It's a wonderful, Metropolitan Republican Club is a wonderful club. It's been around since the turn of the century, last century, more than 100 years. And we are, we're just devoted to sort of getting some political diversity in this town. This is a very democratic town. A lot of cities are these days. And so to be a Republican in Manhattan is to be in the, the minority party, which is cool. And so we joined together and we have this great space, and we have a lot of speakers come in, and we have controversial speakers. Right. And we have speakers that people just plainly wish would not exist. And that's really where it comes to censorship. We had a man, Gavin McInnes, and I'll be perfectly blunt. I am not a Gavin McInnes fan. I don't really know. I've probably listened to him for maybe 5 minutes. Thought, there's so much content out there. There are so many incredible people to listen to, so many wonderful books to read. I'm not going to read people I don't relate to, who don't resonate with me. And that's kind of the category Gavin McInnes is in. And there's things he's said that I just heard second, third hand. I thought, it's not worth it. I'm not that interested in him. But he came to speak. Now, there are a lot of people who are curious about Gavin McInnes. And the question is, when someone is a public person, when they've put content out there that people are either offended by or curious about, and a lot of people, especially Republicans, can be both offended and curious at the same time. A lot of Republicans are very open-minded, like, well, this person sounds horrible, but why does he have a following? Why do people read his stuff? Why does he have a great subscriber base on television? And so for a lot of people, they're curious. Now, I ask you, with people who are, with the curiosity of people, where can someone go to speak? Where? Do we rely on the internet? Do we rely on the media to filter that person? Or do we give people the opportunity to come, sit in a room with Gavin McInnes, see him live? Our members are curious people at the Metropolitan Republican Club. They're curious. They want to know things. There are people who love Trump there. There are people who hate Trump there. There's a lot of diversity of opinion, but people are curious. They want to see stuff up close. They don't want it filtered via the media, filtered via the written word or the internet. They want to see stuff. And it's important in America that when we have curiosity about people, we're able to see them. We're able to hear them. So where can that go? Well, because Mr. McInnes is so controversial, he's not going to be at City Hall. He's not going to be in a taxpayer-funded venue. That's fair. So he would go somewhere private, like the Metropolitan Republican Club, to see and to be seen and heard by people who are curious about him. So we had an event on Friday night, and a lot of people who are members of the club showed up. People who had very mixed opinions, from very positive to very negative, of Gavin McInnes, showed up to see and hear Gavin McInnes for himself. And they left with a lot of different opinions. also there are Gavin's fans, a group called the Proud Boys. And I guess, the Proud Boys, I've never, again, not my cup of tea. Not, I'm not going to be a Proud Boy. I'm not going to hang with them. Just, we all get to choose in life. Anyway,
flavors.
So it's Gavin McGinnis and it's the Proud Boys. And anyway, afterwards, they all left peacefully. Stuff happened on the street. There were, guys, 2 different incidents. And, we've got some video. I know you said we've got some video.
Why don't you play the video?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's first the article, and then we have what came of that is the RNC just released an advertisement video, which kind of just sums what's happening in this country right now. Because when you say that the Proud Boys are not your cup of tea, Gavin McGinnis isn't your cup of tea, but even if you were a Democrat, as Pete, you would not riot, you would not censor.
I've never censored anyone.
Exactly.
No, I do not believe in censorship.
Right, but what we're facing now is the violence when the left wants to suppress First Amendment speech. Now, you said people went to this event that are Republicans, but did not care for them. They left and they went home. They did not riot against.
Exactly. My question would be for anyone, where is he, for the people who are protesting, where is Mr. McGinnis supposed to speak? And really the answer will be from those people, nowhere. We want to silence him. And that's what I want to get those people to, because that's snuffing out free speech.
Right.
And to have elected officials, elected officials on our tax dollars, all there is the government saying, you should not have booked him. When government officials who all are on taxpayer salaries are standing in front of the Metropolitan Republican Club, which happened today, Speaker, someone I have a lot of respect for, Corey Johnson, who is a longtime friend and Speaker of the City Council, showed up with other people and they gave and again, I stood there silently during the press conference. I did confront Corey beforehand saying, are you having any Republicans here? And we had some words afterwards, but during the press conference, I was silenced and I listened to all of them speak on the sidewalk in front of the building where I have my campaign headquarters. And they said a lot of things I disagree with. They said a lot of things that I think are fundamentally false. The Proud Boys are a racially mixed group. I don't see them as white supremacists. So I mean, I saw them, and
just because the Southern Poverty Law Center deems someone a hate group, it doesn't mean it's true. But if they repeat this enough, then the Antifas will buy into this, and this is where they show up to protest. Am I to assume that de Blasio still has not come out to denounce this?
Well, I think that one thing you raise is the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. They've done a lot of things that I appreciate and respect, but I do not believe in our society any one organization, especially in this political climate, should have the authority to deem someone a hate group. I think we as a society really need to sort of step back and say, well, I don't call them a hate group and I haven't deemed them a hate group. I think to have that ultimate authority placed on one group, I think that's a corrupting influence. I don't see how any one group in our society should be bestowed that power. It's absolute power, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think it should be maybe a whole council of different groups from geographically different areas and different political ideologies saying what's a hate group. I don't know, but I think I don't have a knee-jerk agreement when the Southern Poverty Law Center says something is hate. Well, I think for myself.
Let's take a look now at the RNC, who has captured the environment that we are living in right now. I think they've done a spectacular job with this.
Good video.
When they go low, we kick them.
And if you see anybody in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Texas racist anti-gay.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
Get up and please get up in the face of some Congress people.
Is this the quote unquote mob?
Amazing, isn't it, Pete? This is what we're living.
It's shocking, and I will tell you, 3 days after Secretary Clinton had that interview on CNN, we had the vandalism, and we had the riots. We had Mr. McGinnis at the club a year and a half ago without incident. People just didn't show up. People did show up. There was no rioting. There was no vandalism. The climate has changed. And what I want to ask everyone out there protesting someone speaking is, what is your end game? And I think the end game is silence. I think they want to silence people. And that is not the American way.
No, it's beyond dangerous. And they think that if they can continue beating us into submission this way, that we will give up. We won't show up to public events, that we are really going to, and it is sad. A lot of people have stopped wearing their MAGA hats, their MAGA shirts because of this. The left is calling for it. We have politicians telling people to accost people like this in public. If you're in a supermarket or a mall, I've seen it happen. I've seen where young people would smack the hat off of an elderly gentleman at a mall just for wearing a Make America Great Again hat. It is happening. And it's filtering.
Whataburger in Texas. It happened in Texas.
Yeah. And it's filtering down to the youth, because the youth really, they do not understand what is happening. They are just, they're parroting. They're parroting what they're seeing on the internet or what they're being told. And God, we all know what they're teaching in the schools. They're not teaching patriotism in the schools.
Well, they don't teach civics in the schools, and people don't understand that. Mm-hmm. I'm running for state senate, and people are saying, oh, what are you going to do about Trump? I'm like, let me explain how our government works. I think one thing that's happening is that, just the anger is overtaking people. And the anger has given people a viability with anger that we don't have before. Usually in life, when you're angry, you're wrong. You're wrong. But, it's overtaken people.
It absolutely has. And it's getting worse. The closer we get to the midterm, the worse it's going to get.
Well, I'll tell you, there's one place people will show up publicly. They're saying people won't come out in public, in the voting booth. The last place where people can now tell the truth in American society is in the voting booth. And I think we will see some very interesting stuff on November 6th.
Let
me just give you my website again. It's holmbergfornewyork.com. I am running on the east side. I'm looking to sort of plant a flag of republicanism and conservatism on the island of Manhattan. So if you can get to my website again, holmbergfornewyork.com.
Everyone that's in New York City, please, we need Pete to stop being the unicorn in New York City.
And I can take contributions from all over the country.
Yes, but if you can get out there and vote in New York City, District 28, correct?
Yes.
Yes, get out and vote for Pete. We need you. We need your voice. I'm so happy that you could come on and tell us a little bit more about the story. Now, wasn't there a note or something left?
Yes, there's a note was left, a threatening note, and that's terrorism. Shut up, don't speak, and here's a note that says we'll be back. Terrorism.
I think Brandon's going to join us from.
Hello, Brandon.
Hi.
Brandon, where are you? I can't see you.
Coming soon.
Oh, there you go.
Hi. Can you see me?
Sweetie. I can see you just fine now. You're enjoying yourself?
Oh yeah, and listen, I don't want Pete to log off. I'm just checking in for a minute. But you're killing it. You guys are killing it. I just tuned in. I got really nervous. I feel like I'm not going to have a job anymore.
No, I don't like being the substitute, Brandon.
You don't?
I don't like being the substitute. I don't have your charm and charisma.
Yes, you do.
No.
Are all the kids being mean to you as the substitute?
Well, I told Nathan and Wes don't throw virtual spitballs at me since they thought they'd be speaking.
Can I tell everybody where I've been and what's going on?
I want you to, absolutely. Now I don't have to do it.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to take a little spin and show everyone. So I am at the beautiful Trump International Hotel in DC. I don't know if you're taking all this. It's so gorgeous. Wow, it's such an incredible hotel. The reason why I'm at Trump International Hotel is not because I'm super fancy schmancy, but because I'm here for Diamond and Silk's movie premiere. It's called Dummycrats. And Maria, I'm actually like in the movie a little bit.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, so the producers brought me to DC to come to the premiere, and I'm going to tell you all about the movie, and I'm going to tell you all about the experience. But first, I just have to tell you a little moment, a touching moment. So at the end of the movie, basically they do go like this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So at the end of the movie, they do like a montage of people who've walked away. They've done like they take a compilation of footage from the WalkAway campaign, and they started off with a long clip from my video, Once Upon a Time I Was a Liberal, and everyone in the theater started like clapping and applauding, and I started crying. I mean, it was just so like, it was so touching. Like it was incredibly touching. But the movie basically is Diamond and Silk. It's kind of like documentary style, and they're kind of going all around the country, and they're talking about the issues that are facing the nation regionally, based off of what's going on with the Democrats. They go chasing after Maxine Waters in her district, and they end up at her $4.5 million home, which is 12 miles outside of her district. They go chasing after Nancy Pelosi in her city, which is now overrun with homeless people and feces on the ground, human feces on the ground, San Francisco. They end up in DC. They end up at the southern border. They end up in my home state of Nebraska, talking to a woman whose daughter was killed by an illegal immigrant. And even more tragically or to add insult to the tragedy, I guess I should say, the court released the criminal on $5,000 bond, and the criminal fled after paying $5,000 bond. So there was no justice. No. But it's, Diamond and Silk in their traditional, sassy, funny, like tell it like it is style, addressing these issues that are happening in America right now. And, and then the added bonus was just getting to be at this beautiful hotel and kind of in the upscale bougie movie premiere kind of environment.
Do you happen to know when the public will be able to see this movie?
That's a wonderful question. So it's released right now in limited theaters. I mean, this is going to shock you, Maria, but theaters across America are not lining up to show conservative movies.
Oh, just like the Dash. Right.
Right, exactly. It's exactly like that. So they had a hell of a time finding theaters that would even screen it. So it's a limited engagement right now. And then I believe what they're trying to do is push for a second release again in like a few weeks. But I think literally there's just theaters showing it this weekend, and it's very limited.
Oh, wow. That's
but
a shame. I love
it is a shame. What, darling?
I love the name of the movie.
Dummycrats.
There you go. There you go.
But it will be released on DVD before long. So people will always have that option to watch it as well. But of course, it would be nice if we were able to go and see conservative movies in theaters and support that and have more of that.
And have it out, so that before the midterms, it could fire people up even more, because just like at Trump at War that we have been promoting, it is now for free on YouTube.
Wonderful.
So,
tell people, make sure people see that, because I haven't even had a chance to watch it yet, but I keep hearing how incredible it is.
You will love it. The message is great. We need all these conservative films to fire up our base before November 6th.
Right.
I mean, not that they're fired up enough after Kavanaugh, but we need every single thing that we can utilize to keep that fire burning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do believe we are going to have that red tsunami, but I don't take anything for granted. I really don't. I don't want to see any complacency.
That's my attitude too, Maria. Is I get asked that question all the time. It's probably one of the number one questions I get asked right now is, do you think there's going to be this blue wave? Do you think there'll be a blue wave? Do you really think, and I say, let's just proceed as if there is.
That's right.
Let's pull out all the stops and let's do everything that we can possibly do to ensure that that doesn't happen. But let's go forward as if it absolutely is going to happen.
Brandon, before we lose you, you want to take some homework off my plate tonight for your show?
Tell me about it. What's going on?
Can you talk about the march? Direct people to the website?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, one really cool thing, many cool things is being here when I was on the red carpet. I got interviewed by numerous media outlets, and I got a chance to shout out the WalkAway March on Washington to lots of people who otherwise may not have gotten to hear about it or know about it. And so for anybody watching tonight, if you can get a lot of information by going to walkawaymarch.com. That's walkawaymarch.com. But in a nutshell, it's coming right up, less than 2 weeks away. This is going to be Friday, October 26th through Sunday, October 28th. Friday night, we're kicking things off at this gorgeous hotel, the Trump International Hotel, which, I mean, talk about being in the presence of greatness and making America great. I mean, this is when you're in this hotel, you know what it means to be amongst greatness, you know? And so we're doing a gala dinner here at this hotel to kick the weekend off. The main event is on Saturday, the 27th. That's the March and Rally. My co-planner, Tracy Diaz, will not allow me to just officially announce what the starting point, what the end point is, because there's one last little permit that we have to get a signature from a damn DC bureaucrat. You know, it's like going to planning this march, Maria, is like going to the DMV every day for 5 weeks and having to get your license renewed every day for 5 weeks.
And just wait till you're there. It's going to be it's like having a baby, Brandon. Once you're there, the baby's out, you're going to exhale and you're going to say, what pain? I don't remember any of that pain. It's gone.
Well, if this is like having a baby, then I know how Octomom feels, because I feel like I just gave birth to everything and everybody.
And while you're over there at that beautiful hotel, if you can talk to any of the muckety mucks, don't you think that they should have a deplorable suite?
I think that's where I am right now.
I think you need to put that suggestion in. I would like to see a deplorable suite at that hotel.
I think that's a great.
All decked out.
I think that's a really, really great idea. I think that's awesome. Yeah. So, okay. So the March and Rally is going to happen in the National Mall, and I promise, guys, within the next like 48 hours maximum, we'll be releasing the exact starting point and the exact ending point. But for those of you who are like, but you know, I want to book my hotel near where it's going to be in the National Mall, and I can tell you with certainty that the starting point is going to be within close proximity of the Capitol building. So if you want to just book a hotel near the National Mall, near the Capitol building, you'll be totally all set. And then on Sunday, we're closing things out with the closing brunch, also here at Trump International. And Dinesh D'Souza is going to be our guest speaker. Actually, I have a little more information than I've had in the past too. So we're having some speakers at the gala dinner, and that's going to be the wonderful Buzz Patterson, who's been on my show before, Stacey Dash, who is a Hollywood movie star turned conservative, and as we know, sometimes being conservative is not exactly great for a Hollywood actress's career. But Stacey Dash can tell us all about what it's like to be not only a Black conservative, but a Hollywood conservative, and that experience. So she'll be speaking. The incredible Mason Weaver will be speaking. I'm going to get up and speak at the dinner as well. And tonight I just met Terrence, Johnson, the comedian. Oh my God, help me, Maria, my brain.
Terrence Williams? Terrence?
Anyway, he's short and he's funny. He's a comedian. He's conservative. He's a Black guy. He's hilarious.
Yeah, everybody knows him by Terrence. Don't worry about it. They'll find him on Twitter.
Thank you. Anyway, we just met tonight. He's hysterical, and so he's coming to the dinner now too, and he's gonna, I think, do a little comedy for everybody. Yeah, it's gonna be incredible.
And don't forget the buses. Tell the people about the buses.
Walkaway.bus.com. So we've arranged busing from 14 cities. mostly along the East Coast, because and there were reasons for that, because rules and restrictions. You can't have a bus driver drive more than 8 hours, and then it's like you have to then at that point include an overnight stay. And we knew that a lot of people don't want to do an overnight stay; they want to come in and out for the day and just attend the march and rally. So we arranged these from 14 cities that fell within the proximity of the restrictions on the bus driving hours. But there's lots of options from Connecticut and New Jersey and New York and the Carolinas, and I think we have something even from Georgia and Florida. Anyway, if you go to walkaway.bus.com, there's lots of busing options available. Very affordable for a day trip. And I just want to reiterate to people, because I think that there are a lot of people who, they say, well, we on the right don't really do this kind of thing. Like marches and rallies are really for people on the left. And why is this important? Or some people are saying too, well, I didn't walk away. I've always been a conservative. So, this march isn't really for me because I'm not a walkaway. Let me address all of those in one swoop here by saying, those of you who've always been conservative and who are always been on the right, and those of you who feel like, well, these marches and rallies this is just not really what we do. Well, yeah, you're right. People on the right don't traditionally march and they don't traditionally rally. And I think what we're finding right now in America is that politics have changed. I think the Republican Party has changed. I think conservatism has changed. And I think we have a president in the office right now who has proven that it's not the same old. The American political landscape is changing. And therefore, I think the techniques and the strategies that we've used in the past, they have to change too. For those of you on the right, you're the most important people that need to be at this rally. Why? Because the people who are walking away need to know they're walking into a network of support, that they're walking into a group of people who want them there, that want to embrace them and want them to see, look, you don't have to be a Republican if you don't want to. You can be an independent, you can be conservative, or you can just throw your hands in the air and say, I don't know yet. I don't know. But what's important is that people who are walking away need to know that they're walking to a warm embrace from people on the right. And that's why you people on the right are the most important people who need to be at this march and need to be at this rally. Please, guys, it's time to step up and really show your support. This is important.
Right, and DC is in such a great location that if people don't even need the buses and they can drive the few hours, they can make it there because it's so metropolitan. And I don't think anybody should have fear. This is DC. This is not Portland, Oregon. I really don't think they should have fear. I think they should show up. And I'm going to bet you the walk-withs are not fearless. They're looking to get out and really be with like-minded people. When we talk about all these riots that are happening in the streets, think about a Trump rally with tens of thousands of people. Are there any riots there? No, you don't see it. So I would bet you there's nothing to fear going to DC for anybody who's worried about that. Portland, Oregon's a whole different animal up there because even their government is Democrat and they tell the police to stand down. This is DC. They won't stand for that type of.
That's right.
So it's going to be fine.
That's right. That's right. And well, Maria, I need to let you know that I think my phone's on like 1% battery, so I may just cut out at any moment, just so you know. But I am glad you brought up this point because it's a question that I get asked a lot, and I want to make clear to people: we will be protected by Capitol Police, by MPD, and Homeland Security. There are 3 security organizations who are going to be overseeing this rally. The entire National Mall is locked down on video surveillance. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's impossible that anything could ever happen. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that I'm not afraid. Right. And I don't think that anyone else should be afraid.
I don't think so.
We will be well protected. And listen, guys, they want you to be afraid. These people who attack the Metropolitan Republican Club and do these crazy things, they want you to stay home and be afraid. And we can't let them. We need to show them that we won't. It's as my friend Pete Holmberg said, this is terrorism. And we as Americans don't stand down to terrorists. We don't. We stand up to terrorists. And that's what we're going to do.
That's right. And Pete's really up against it in New York City. God bless him. He's fighting.
Yeah.
We have to keep praying that he wins this because we need change in New York City. We really do. And it needs to filter throughout the state. I hope everybody gets out and votes for Mark Molinaro as well.
Yeah. All right, Maria, I better jump off. My phone's about to die.
Enjoy.
You're doing a wonderful job. Thanks for sitting behind the desk for me.
Thank you for giving me the honor. I appreciate that.
Good night, Rob. Good night, Maria. Good night, Pete. I love you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a good night. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Pete, I hope you stick around because our next
Absolutely.
guest is going to tie right into censorship.
Yeah, what they've done is fascinating.
Well, we're going to welcome Nathan Stoop and Wes Cook.
Hey guys. What's up?
Hi, how are you?
Very good.
Welcome.
It is so nice to finally meet you.
Great to meet you all. Hey, Pete, good to see you, bud.
Thank you. Great to see you guys.
Well, the song I Stand for the Flag is taking America by storm, and everybody first got to hear about you on Fox and Friends. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to Fox and Friends?
Well, I'll go back to the very beginning of where we first wrote the song. We started writing the song about a year ago right now. Wes and I started writing it, and it kind of took on this really interesting life of its own, where once we got some lyrics written, we started realizing the message that we were creating and the positive impact, the healing, the unifying impact that this could have on our country. We started going, okay, how can we communicate this effectively? How can we get this out there to enough people and have enough people see this to where this message of patriotism really starts to catch on and gain traction? So we made a music video for the song, and we released that just before July 4th, this past July 4th. Yeah. And when we released that music video, we released it through our social media, and we went to use Facebook's paid boost tools to increase our reach and to gain more traffic and so forth. And when we did that, we ran up against a roadblock that Facebook threw at us in saying that our account was not verified to pay to boost ads containing political content. And we immediately pushed back against that characterization by saying that we believe patriotism is not political and it should never fall under that classification, no matter what Facebook's rules are. And these rules are very arbitrary. It's hard to define that for Facebook, but patriotism should never be considered political regardless. So we fought, we pushed back against that, and that story took us to Fox News. We were on Fox and Friends on July 5th. Wes and I and the band did interviews on Fox and Friends and Fox First, and we did Patriot Channel on Breitbart, and did some things there. And the story at the time was more about Facebook. There was a lot of associated stories over the 4th of July, some other entities that were being censored in similar ways. And there was kind of a real outcry about that time, hey, why is Facebook considering I stand for the flag to be political content and censoring this? And
I do believe they were also censoring people that were reading the Declaration of Independence too.
Yeah.
They were doing a lot of censorship. Now, was Facebook the only place that censored you? Were you up on YouTube at all?
We were on YouTube, we were on Twitter and Instagram. We didn't have any issues with any of those sites. Now, I know other conservatives have had issues with those sites, so I'm not going to speak to their ideology, but Facebook was the platform that we did have an issue with. And that was kind of what threw us out there in the national spotlight and really made us realize the responsibility that we have to represent patriotism to anyone in this country who simply loves their country. It doesn't matter what side of the ideological spectrum you fall on. If you can look me in the eye and say, I love America, we're united. We're Americans. We're playing for the same team. And if we can start there, we can start a conversation that might fix some of the genuine problems that do exist within our country.
Right. And what the left isn't getting with the suppression and the censorship and the violence is it backfires, because you got to get to Fox and Friends, and this song is taking America by storm. Rob, can we play the song now? Okay. Yes, that would be wonderful. Let's give the audience who has not heard the song yet a taste.
All right.
Mr. President, we are the Wes Cook Band from Nashville, Tennessee. You may have seen us on Fox News July 5th when the music video for our song, I Stand for the Flag, was the center of a controversy involving Facebook censorship and patriotism. As we have continued watching the national conversation regarding our national anthem and flag, we see clear evidence that patriotism The very foundation of our country is under clear and present attack. What once was a source of unity is now being used as a weapon, splintering us into groups in an attempt to destroy those long-cherished feelings of pride in American greatness.
We see corporations like Nike exploiting this anti-American ideology as a way of driving profit. We see the NFL, which was once unifying, a source of joy and a pure American pastime, reduced to an attack on our great flag. We see the next generation growing up in a world where they are taught loving and respecting your country is a bad thing, and that American pride is to be avoided. We see independent thinkers like Kanye West being mocked and ridiculed by the very people who profess the greatest level of tolerance simply for saying he loves America.
Sir, we believe this attempt to divide us must be stopped if this great nation is to survive. A house united will stand, but a house divided will fall. We are speaking out today offering the message of our song, I Stand for the Flag, as a reminder to all Americans of how blessed we are to live in a country that values freedom above all else. As our lyrics say, we believe that we're all stitched together like the red, white, and blue. I stand for showing kindness and treating everyone with love. Be proud of who you are, but don't forget where you came from. Don't care if you're black or white or who you love. I stand for the flag, and the flag stands for all of us.
With the 2018 election rapidly approaching, we believe it is vitally important that American citizens have a national conversation about patriotism. America has faced and conquered immense challenges in the past, and there is still much work that can be done to make our country better for all citizens. We must engage in constructive conversation in order to create solutions that are bigger than the challenges we face.
Mr. President, we speak for all Americans who love their country. And if a champion is needed to start this conversation, we accept the challenge. With that intent, we offer the healing and unifying message of our song, in service to you and for the defense of the foundations of this great nation. God bless you, sir, and God bless America.
I saw her flying there by the dawn's early light, a little tired, a little tore up, still hurting from the fight. And then it hit me, you ain't gotta pick a side. You can love your fellow man and still have pride. 'Cause we're all stitched together like the red, white, and blue. Might be a little bit different, but we're all the same too. 'Cause the stars and stripes are so much more than that old piece of cloth on your grandma's porch. It gave us that American dream to be anything that we wanna be. It don't matter where you are, from a one-room church to an uptown bar. Don't care if you're black or white or who you love. I stand for the flag, and the flag stands for all of us. For the teachers of today, for the leaders of tomorrow, for long-haul driving truckers, rolling all night hauling cargo. The banker pays the farmer who feeds the factory working man, while a preacher talks to Jesus about his son in Afghanistan. We all need each other like an apple needs a pie, and that's just another day in this American life. 'Cause the stars and stripes are so much more than that old piece of cloth on your grandma's porch. Gave us that American dream to be anything that we want to be. 'Cause it don't matter where you are, from a one-room church to an uptown bar. Don't care if you're black or white or who you love. I stand for the flag, and the flag stands for all of us. I stand for showing kindness, treating everyone with love. Be proud of who you are, don't forget where you came from. 'Cause the stars and stripes mean so much more than that old piece of cloth on your grandma's porch. It gave us that American dream to anything that we want to be. And it don't matter where you are, from a one-room church to an uptown bar. Don't care if you're black or white or who you love. I stand for the flag, and the flag damn sure stands for all of us.
Absolutely beautiful song. Bravo. Is this where I get to thank Zuckerberg for censoring you so that you made it to the status you did so that folks like myself found this song? Because I love that it backfired on them. And it's going to continue to backfire on them. So now we wrap it up with Nathan. Tell us the story. After you got recognized, they kind of took their foot off the pedal with you and allowed you to boost this a little bit on Facebook, correct?
That's correct. Facebook reached out to us after the story ran on Fox, and we had a good conversation. We actually released a joint press release with Facebook where they apologized for what they called a mistake. And then they said, well, we'll fix it. So we gave them some time to do that. That seemed fair. 2-3 weeks later, we went to boost the post again, and we were able to. So, that seemed like a good thing. Now, fast forward to right now, we released what you just saw, that video, that open letter to President Trump, which we can talk about that in just a minute as well. We released that this morning, and we went to pay to boost this post. And we once again hit that same roadblock that we did. We were unable to pay to boost this unless we jump through their hoops and accept their characterization of this content as political content. And we're not willing to do that. We think we gave Facebook a more than fair opportunity to change what is I would say, a very offensive position to anybody who considers himself a patriot. This is not cool at all in any way. And yet we're right back here having the same conversation 3 months later. So, we're 3 weeks before the election, and this is the kind of position that a company like Facebook is taking when concerned citizens reach out to their president and say, hey, we support what you're doing. We support your America First agenda. We understand that in order for us as citizens to chase our American dream, we have to do better by our country. And that is what our president is trying to do. He's trying to talk about our flag and our anthem and say, hey, we're all on the same team. We're all in the same family. We're unified. We're respectful to each other, to the flag. We show kindness, all of these things. And we support President Trump's messaging about that. And we wanted to reach out to him and let him know that there's people, out here in the country that support that goal and to share the message of our song in a way that, could be just a real unifying and healing moment all across America. And once again, Facebook steps in and says, nope, that's political. We can't have you doing that. So here we are again.
Right. So now I would assume that you gentlemen consider yourselves the deplorables, correct? Are you part of our big, beautiful basket?
I'm a proud deplorable, and I would say Wes is just straight down the middle, independent, common sense. If it makes sense,
Core values matter more to me than anything else.
Okay, so are you the one who laid out those beautiful things on Facebook about what patriotism means?
That was a kind of a joint effort between all of our team.
Really hit it. I took some off that says patriotism is apolitical, which I love, sacrificial, America first, necessary and unifying. What is so wrong about this? What does the other side of America not see that we are on the same team? And when I use the word deplorable, I use it to just say we're clearly seeing that it's Donald Trump and his supporters with the America First agenda. That's the team we're on. It seems like we're up against everybody else with this censorship. And I also noticed you guys ran a poll. Did you run a poll on your page asking about, do you believe patriotism is under attack in America?
We did, and the response was 97% yes, 3% no, with over 200 people voting. And we've had a lot of folks reach out to us, not only with the story that Fox ran a few months ago, but recently with this letter as well, just thanking us for being the people that are willing to step up and say this. you've got guys like Kanye West who are trying to pull their weight. They're trying to shine light and think independently and just look at the truth of what's going on in the country and say, hey, it's not all that certain components of the media make it out to be. There's really good things happening here. Our country, Black unemployment is at the lowest ever. Female unemployment, almost lowest ever. Hispanic unemployment, lowest ever. These are not statistics that should be ignored, and yet they are. They're constantly being ignored by the mainstream media, because to accept that these things are true would be to accept that America is a great nation. We are a great country filled with amazing, hardworking people. To accept that would defeat their entire narrative that America is the worst place on earth.
Right. What the media has shown us, and thank God it's out there now, that they are an arm of the Democratic Party. They are controlled. They don't want our message out there.
No.
That's the whole thing. But we're winning. And the other thing is economic nationalism, which is what Donald Trump fights for, sees no color. Just like you were saying, if you are an American under that flag, it does not matter who you are, where you came from. If you're a citizen, that's what patriotism is. But they want to censor it. Now, I never saw a post like this, but I did happen to stop by your page before the show. And thank you for posting what they sent you, because the wording really disturbed me. And I'm going to read it so the audience knows what they're doing to you. And please, everybody, please go like the Wes Cook Band Facebook page so you could see what we're talking about. And you could rewatch the letter to the president and the song. But they wrote, your ad was not approved because your page has not been authorized to run ads related to politics and issues of national importance. What they're saying is you have no right to speak on anything of national importance. They have to approve you or anyone else like you. That, Pete, what we were talking about earlier, is the suppression, the censorship that is so out of control. And it is so great that both of you are on tonight to show what has happened in New York City and what has happened to this band. This is horrible that you can't have an opinion. And that letter to the president, what was wrong with that? That you couldn't boost it? That's insanity.
Apparently, they don't want conservatives communicating with their president. Apparently, that's a negative thing. And the most hypocritical thing I find of all of this is, you can have NFL players who choose to protest and kneel during the national anthem before a game, and yet that's considered free speech. That's defended and held up as some sort of an ideal or a standard. And yet when two conservative guys in a little band from Nashville, Tennessee put out a song called I Stand for the Flag, no, got to stop that dead in its tracks. That would be dangerous to get out there now, wouldn't it?
This is an olive branch. The message of this song is an olive branch to this country. It's a reminder to people that we're all under the same flag. You're supposed to respect those that are in office, that are in power. You don't have to necessarily agree with them, but we need to show a unified front as a country as well. Everybody needs to understand that, yes, this man is the president right now, and we need to fall in line and support him as best we can.
Right, and don't you find that ironic that the olive branch and the good message that you were trying to convey is being suppressed, and yet they don't suppress the violence of the bad message and the Antifa? Where I like to say the good over evil is winning, because despite what they are trying to do to us, we are still winning. Your message is getting out there because folks like Rob bring it to the attention, Breitbart, Fox and Friends, they're getting you out there. And then before you know it, then Facebook will have to take their foot off the pedal once again. No matter what they try, at least the message is getting out there. And I love that you say it's an olive branch, because it's such a beautiful message. They like to say that folks that are America first are anti-immigration. That could not be further from the truth. We are against illegal immigration.
Correct.
So what you're saying is if you're legal,
we can go anywhere in the world. We have so many problems within our own waters that need to be taken care of long before we step outside anyhow.
That's right. I think we spoke about this in the green room. You can't feed your neighbor if you can't feed yourself. So that it's only a message that we're trying to push, let's clean up our own house, our own country. And then once we are flourishing, then we can help others. We give so much away in national aid every year when we have homeless veterans in the streets. You heard Brandon talk about the Democrats movie where they're in San Francisco and people are on the streets over there. It's disgusting. And yet the left are for open borders. They are not for patriotism. They want to shut us down. any way they can, from talking to each other to talking this way. So the fact that Rob has brought you on tonight, and I hope, do you have any more media plan for this week that you would like to tell us about?
Not yet, but we're going to be announcing some new things soon. We are working on trying to get this letter to President Trump through some media contacts and through some others. So we do expect to have a lot more information in the next few days on that.
Oh, I would bet, just like after your appearance in July, I bet that this is going to take fire, because we can't take it anymore. Just like what happened at the Kavanaugh hearings. This is keeping the people's fire burning. Something like this is going to enrage people tonight. Hopefully they will go to your Facebook page, check it out, like it, and you'll have more support. And do you also
please help us get it out there? You know, that's kind of our biggest, thing right now is we're not able to spread this through our paid boost on Facebook now. So help share and help us get it out there. And one more really important topic that I would love to cover is with the election, 3 weeks from tomorrow. I think it's, like we said in the letter, it's very important that we have a conversation about patriotism, not only amongst the citizens, but we sat down with Marsha Blackburn several weeks ago after that story hit and had a great conversation with her, and so happy to see the great things that she's doing in her race here in Tennessee. But you've got someone like that who is fighting for what really matters here in this country. And then you get someone like even Taylor Swift coming out and posting what she did the other day, slamming those things. And I thought Marsha took a really high road with that. I was really, really proud of her for how she handled that. And, in the musician community here, even in Nashville, I think there's probably a lot more support for, this patriotic agenda than you might think. And with the elections coming up, people are looking to our candidates to see, do they love America? Can we support this person? And I believe Marsha here in Tennessee is someone who would honestly say, I love America. I don't know if all of our politicians could honestly say that. I think that'd be a really interesting question to ask. Why don't we ask our politicians, do you love America? Let's answer that question before the election happens.
Right. Are you in it because you love America, or are you in it for the super PAC money?
Yes.
Are you in it for what they can make off of it? And I've heard stories. Listen, I vote Republican because I have to, but I don't love all Republicans. We have to vote red, like our lives depend on it, because they do depend on it. And I love Marsha Blackburn, by the way. She's doing a great job. I think she's going to win it. I don't think Taylor Swift is going to have any effect on her statement, because what Taylor doesn't realize is her fans' parents are not going to feed into what Taylor Swift said. So right. I think Marsha's going to do really great in Tennessee. Yeah. But I agree with you on all cylinders. You guys are doing great. Do you also have a YouTube page, or is it just Facebook?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, it's just Wes Cook Band on YouTube, and Wes Cook Band on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Amen. I call for everybody to please go follow these guys so you can find out how they're making out with this censorship and what other media outlets they're going to be doing. And let's see how long it will take for Facebook to take their foot off the pedal with you this time.
We'll see, but we're fighting until it happens. Like you said, there's no option at this point. This is a message that has to get out there. There's no question about that. So thank you for your support. Thank you to everyone watching. Please do help us share this and help us get it out there as fast as we can.
Thank you for your beautiful song.
Thank you.
Hey, Pete. So
hey, how you doing?
What do you think about that?
They're amazing. And, we're just living in times where people are just, I think there's a lot of classism. I think, Maria, there's just people, it's a lot of elite discrimination from the elites. I look at these guys and they're fantastic and the song is beautiful. And for them to be anything but welcomed, it's just absurd. And I think that years ago, I used to represent an industry called the check cashing industry. It was early on in my PR career. And it was one of those industries that was very maligned, very often utilized by poor people. And the guy who was in charge of the organization I worked for, I said, well, why do you think there's a negative perception? He's like, I think America doesn't like poor people. I think America doesn't like middle America. And America doesn't like patriots in a lot of ways. And we kind of got to this phase where everything was cool, like it was global, and the cool people were traveling all over. And, then we have a situation where Donald Trump wins. And there's still, I did not vote for Donald Trump. I was one of those people who didn't vote for him and then thought, well, why did he win? And I started asking questions. Why did he win? And usually after a failure or a disappointment, in my case, when something happens you don't want, you need to ask yourself why. And in discovering why he won, I kind of rediscovered my conservative roots, and I discovered my true philosophy of life, and I discovered my own people. And these people are just afraid to ask themselves, why did Donald Trump win? It's a scary question, but the answers are good.
The answers are great because he spoke to the heart of America. And I like to say deplorables are anything from a burger flipper to somebody with a PhD. People like to think that all Trump supporters were people living hand to mouth, and that's not true.
Oh.
There are plenty of folks in the upper echelon that love Donald Trump. They love his patriotism and his America First agenda. This is why he won.
Oh, when you live on the east side of Manhattan and you campaign on the east side of Manhattan, you meet the elite, highly accomplished, high tax paying individuals who voted for Donald Trump. You meet them.
And that's the other thing that they try to shove down our throats with the violence of the Antifa. But I dare anybody to show any of us at all of these rallies, where's the violence at these rallies? You don't see it. They're good people. You don't, even if they don't agree with something that the left is doing, they're still not violent. Well, why does the media want us to think they just want to shove the fascism in our face when it's them that are being fascist? It's amazing.
The media really needs people to be afraid of Donald Trump. It needs it. I will tell you something. MSNBC is not so much in the news business as in the advertising sales business. And they have people hooked on a soap opera. And the soap opera is everything will be fine as soon as we get rid of Trump. And there are so many people out in the political world now who are just thinking the solution to everything is getting rid of the president. They're not thinking on the local level. They're not thinking of what they can do in their own communities. They're not thinking about their own backyards. They're not thinking about their own schools. Everything will be fine once we get rid of Trump. And they've projected all of their animosity upwards. And it's a lot for one person to take. There's too much focus these days, not only on the president, but even Washington, D.C. We really weren't meant to live this life where everything hinged on what was going on in D.C. People didn't used to get freaked out over Supreme Court nominations. Conservative presidents vote, Republicans nominated conservatives, Democrats nominated liberals, and they weren't making major laws. They weren't a legislative body. And we've gotten to this point where we've ignored our local governments, we've ignored our towns, we're focused on this one world. For many people, it's thousands of miles away that controls everything. And people have projected so much power into Washington and uploaded so much power into Washington that it's gotten ridiculous. No one can handle that. It's like the tail wagging the dog. Washington, D.C. is the tail, we're the dog, and it's wagging us. We should be wagging it.
Well, and they've been doing it for decades, which the Trump presidency scares them all because there's a lot of deep staters that'll be out of work. The new world order will be disassembled. This is why they're doing this. They're losing power when the media now has become a joke. I don't, other than the.
I'm not going to go that far. I will disagree. We can disagree, and that's the beautiful thing about this party. I don't think the media is a joke. I do think the reporters are not the enemy of the people. Reporters are just working.
Yeah. The thing is when we call
people,
we call it.
And Maria, I don't know his job. People. Oh boy, my internet's weak. They're just people. Reporters are people who are looking to keep their jobs. They're worried, so they do stuff. There's a reason why people at the New York Times, after it was saved by Carlos Slim, didn't write about immigration. Carlos Slim in 2000, I think it was 2008, gave the New York Times $250 million His fortune comes from owning a Mexican telecommunications company that makes a ton of money off of people living in this country but calling Mexico. People at the New York Times know that Carlos Slim, it's called knowing which side of the bread, it's knowing which side your bread is buttered on.
Right. This is why more people, I mean, you do hit the nail on the head, because we call it media. We don't call it journalism. Media is a vehicle where to get
True.
Yeah. But true journalism, it's very hard to find. And this is why more people are drawn to these internet type shows, because they're starved to listen to an independent journalist give their reporting. But it's so sad that people have to go in search of that. You can't just turn on your television and get truth.
You know what? You know where there are real journalists in local issues, and in industry, in business, in politics. For some reason, politics has become entertainment, and there's real money behind it. And I mean, I have a lot of friends who are journalists. I live in New York. I'm not, and a lot is going to have to happen for me to make the wholesale argument that it's fake news or something. I believe most of the political news is very pointed. I myself watch MSNBC and Fox. I can't tolerate CNN, but I watch different things. But the news right now is very pointed, and people need to realize that these people who are working in the news, they're just making a living. We're all just working. If you work in a restaurant and I've been a waiter in a restaurant where you're waiting on the owner, you're better when you're waiting on the owner.
Did you see this week where they talked about Trump praising Lee, and then they had to retract it? He was talking about Grant in Ohio.
I loved that. That was really, that's the benefit of having just a camera on someone.
I love it.
It's not notes. It's not a recording. It's not edited. That is something I was telling someone today that as someone who didn't support Trump in 2016, my WalkAway experience started with the lack of precision in covering candidate Trump and the lack of precision in covering President Trump.
Right.
People would say, I mean, I remember watching certain things, and in the Access Hollywood tape, he uses the word let. He says they will let you do it. And he was speaking of a world that's kind of it's the star, it's like people hang out with celebrities, and I've seen it in New York. It's a little skeezy, but that's the world he was talking about when you just go up to someone because you're a celebrity, and it's a weird world. But they do let you, and the word let is a big one. It means consent. And the next 2 nights later in the debate, Anderson Cooper opens by saying, what you described was sexual assault. And I was surrounded by gay men watching the debate. We're all liberals at the time. And I just said, and I wasn't aware that I was saying it aloud, but I said, that's not accurate. And it wasn't accurate. It wasn't an accurate statement of Anderson Cooper's. And all of my friends looked at me with absolute disdain, like, how dare you? And I didn't let it go. I said, guys, he said, let me Google it. We have the transcript everywhere. It's all over the internet. That is a word. And the media ignores that word. I actually had dinner with Ann Coulter tonight at the Women's National Republican Club, and she made an issue when she spoke about her new book, Resistance is Futile by Ann Coulter. Let's plug Ann Coulter's book.
Yes, why not?
Let's plug it. Ann Coulter said, let. It's the word let. And there's just other things that happen. And again, Brandon's big story, Brandon's big breakthrough moment came with, his mocking a disabled reporter. He didn't do that. President Trump is, as a comedian, he's got limited range, very limited range, President Trump as a comedian. And he does the same routine when he imitates someone who's lying. He waves his arm. He fantastic bodily movement. The reporter, it was really manufactured. And so we see this and we realize that there's a lot to be gained. A lot of people will say to me when they're arguing about Trump, one of the first things that comes out of their mouth is he mocks a disabled reporter. And then I debunk it and they say, well, that's not that important. I said, it was the first thing that came out of your mouth. What do you mean it's not important? In your list of sins of Donald Trump, mocking a disabled reporter is number one. And there's all these things that people don't like. And the great thing about the Republican Party is you don't have to do wholesale agreement on Donald Trump. You and I probably have some disagreements about certain things President Trump has done. I personally will never think it's okay about what he said about John McCain. That's my opinion. Am I willing to throw the country under the bus because he said something horrible about John McCain, who I loved? No, I'm not willing to throw my country under the bus from a good president. So I accept President Trump. And you know what? It doesn't mean acceptance of someone doesn't mean wholesale agreement with everything they do. I ask these people who are saying, oh, well, what about this? What about this? Guilt by association is this huge game now.
Right.
It's a huge game, and anyone can play it. First of all, we all have families. All of us have families. And I don't know of any family where everyone agrees with everything everyone in the family ever did.
We don't even agree. We like to say we're a Republican family. We don't all agree. You have the never Trumpers, the rhinos, the deplorables.
Yeah.
More people coming in. We don't all agree on everything, but guess what? Just like Wes and Nathan were saying, on November 6th, we're going to vote as a family. We're going to vote red down the ticket, whether we like these guys or not, because we know how vital it is.
That's true. Let me tell you something. Shit goes down in families. I say it forever. When people are angry about their family, I have friends who are angry at a family member, or God forbid, not speaking to a family member. I say shit goes down in families. I will say that as a candidate. We need to remember that, not only as family members and with friends, but in politics. So, people say to me, well, Donald Trump did this, Donald Trump did this. You know what? What I like to do is I turn it around and say, oh, you want to play guilt by association? Let's do it. Bill Clinton ejaculated on a 22-year-old intern, not while he was in office. Oh, no, in the actual Oval Office. That is what Bill Clinton did. I believe Bill Clinton raped Juanita Broaddrick. Now, I'm not going to call him a rapist because he was not tried and convicted of that crime. Right. I did meet Lisa Myers, who interviewed Juanita Broaddrick, and she swears, she's like, that woman was absolutely telling the truth. And I believe Juanita Broaddrick. Now, will I call former President Clinton a rapist? No, we don't do that in our society. When we lower the burden of proof, we're all vulnerable. We need to have that. So people will throw these things about Trump. Pick your Democratic Party. Keith Ellison. This is a couple of weeks ago, is alleged to beat someone. And Karen Monahan has a date and a time for when that went down. And bruises.
Yes, she's got the police report and on. And we like to say this, that Bill Clinton was not impeached with DNA evidence. With DNA evidence, he wasn't impeached. So you have Keith Ellison with a police report, and then you had the world calling for Kavanaugh not to be confirmed just because someone has a cloudy memory from almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Society is crazy right now, but we are at war. We know that.
I think it's important to know that we have more in common than we don't, but it is definitely what's happening. And I can see this happening after the Kavanaugh hearing, is that, we're getting, I think, women back. I think women with sons and with daughters know, wow, when we lower the standard of proof, we make everyone vulnerable. And mothers, when they know that everyone's vulnerable, think of their children. And it's not just men who will be accused going forward. Accusations have been made against women. I worked for a company where 2 women were sued for sexual harassment. Mm-hmm. Women are just as vulnerable as men. And the reality is we have fraud in our society. We have spam filters on our email. We screen unknown calls. We're surrounded by fraud. It's a part of our life. So we can't then assume Me Too is not about believing all victims, all survivors. Me Too is that every accusation is taken seriously and no accusation is dismissed based on the stature or the fine upstanding reputation of the accused. Anyone can be guilty and anyone can be telling the truth. That's what it is. And that's why we have due process to make those distinctions.
We need proof, exactly. You're innocent until proven guilty. But here again is something that backfired on them because just like you said, we've gained more women. The wives and mothers of sons were paralyzed by this. So by them doing this, we've regained more women. But by censoring Wes and Nathan, their music got out to people that may have never heard about it before. So I am feeling the good versus evil thing keeps backfiring on them, no matter what they throw at us.
I wouldn't say, I'm not going to call them evil. I'm not. I was a Democrat for 25 years. I'm not going to use evil. I think it's really
you have to think of the fringe. You have to think of the fringe. I'm not talking about moderate Democrats. I'm talking about these fringe Soros-driven Tom Steyer.
Okay, if that's the distinction. Okay, good. I can yeah.
With this.
Okay.
This country functioned quite well for many years, not knowing who voted Democrat, who voted Republican, neighbors got along, families got along. Then all of a sudden, we have this division in the wedge, and they're not paying attention to the dark money that's infused into these movements. Well, why don't we see it on the right? We're not seeing that. It's only on the left. I could pull up YouTubes of Hillary Clinton praising Soros. We could find it. We could play it.
Did you see Brandon's? Brandon had a post somewhere. It was over the weekend. I didn't have a chance. I've been out campaigning. It was somebody offered Brandon with the march, the WalkAway March on Washington. Let's mention it again.
Yes,
Hi, Brandon. Brandon got an email. Someone said, "Hey, I can get you some marchers, and if you can, and it's $100 a day, and you got to give them lunch." I mean, it's like Brandon's being like, you know, we're getting approached by these people that will buy you followers, will buy you this. Yeah, I mean,
you know, if I'm going to have to talk to Brandon this week. He should do a whole show about them and expose them.
We should just have him on the show. You know what we should do? Say, hey, can we do like we'll do a Zoom conference call. You can just tell us, and then we'll just air the damn thing.
You know, because we always hear about it, or we see the Craigslist ads, and yeah, I would love to talk to someone who's actually participated. Or maybe they signed a non-disclosure agreement and they're not allowed. But it's amazing.
We could ask questions like, can we get them to say really despicable things? Can we get them to swear? I would like them to accuse people of being the KKK. Can we do that? How much extra is that?
Right. Well,
I think that's what's going on.
I can tell you a story about a friend of mine who owned an entertainment company where they did impersonators. And he was hot. They wanted to hire a Republican candidate. This was in Virginia. And they went as far as not just a lookalike, full Hollywood mask, $30,000 to look like this person and go to this event and say things you shouldn't say so that film could pick you up. That story blew my mind. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about it off air sometime, but
I want to hear that off air sometime from you.
Yeah, it really made my eyes bug that, because we think these things exist, but until the proof is right there, you're still mind numb. Like, they really go this far, and they really go this far. That's the point. When I talk Democrats, I am not talking your moderate. I talk to Democrats all the time, and I'll say, well, do you believe this or do you believe that? And they'll say, well, yeah. And I'll say, you know what? You need to like go online and take a political test, because you're not what you think you are. Like, my grandchildren go to a school opened by a conservative.
What'd you say?
My grandchildren.
You have grandchildren?
I do. 6 and 4.
Okay.
They go to
would not have thought that.
Oh, I love you. But they go to a classical liberal school that was opened by a conservative, because people forgot what it is to be a classical liberal. Conservatives are classical liberals.
It's kind of true. It's kind of do your thing. You're going to be okay. Yeah, I definitely believe that. I was a Democrat for 25 years. I feel the party left me. And I feel that what would happen is we were in a room, the reasonable people were kind of being guided again. I'll use tail wagging the dog. That's how it felt to be a Democrat. And it felt that you had to sign off on so much stuff. Yeah. And the reason I don't like I'll always blanch at the word evil is because the Democrats, when I was leaving the party in my last years as a Democrat, that word was just used so many times. And I just thought, no, these people aren't evil. You know, I'm not really I think evil is actually true evil is actually kind of rare in our society. But I did feel so much judgment. And I hear it on the streets now with people saying, well, there's some stupid states. And God, I could not disagree with that more. And there are no stupid states. And I think we need to have respect for people whose radically different opinions. And we don't have enough of that. We don't have enough bipartisan communication. We don't have enough Democrats and Republicans sitting in a room having to be nice to one another. We Absolutely. Don't have, and we used to have it in Washington. On weekends, they'd fight like hell during the week, and then they'd all have to be at dinner parties together. And that created some communication. And I'd love to get back there. I really would. I'm running for state senate. I'll be in the majority in the Senate if I win, hopefully. But I'll be up in Albany with a lot of Democrats. And I'll be here in New York City with a lot of Democrats. And I really want to do outreach. I want to find the common ground. I think that there's so much, especially at the local level. These national issues are going to divide us. But we all care about when the trash is picked up. We all care about the school system. We all really care about the NYPD and making sure that the fire department and the sanitation workers are taken care of. We have common ground. Things have gotten so polarized and anger has gotten out of control. And so that's why I kind of blanch when I hear the word evil. It's like, oh, dear God, we can't go there. I dealt with a lot of Democrats today who showed up and I was not happy with what they said, but none of them are evil. None of them are evil. And
we'll talk evil. We talk about the injected money that makes people do
yeah.
should not be doing. Pete, once again, tell everybody where they can find you.
My name is Pete Holmberg. I'm at Pete Holmberg NYC on Twitter, and my last name is spelled Holmberg. Oh, there it is. You got me on the Chiron. I'm at Holmberg. You're awesome. HolmbergForNewYork.com. That is my website. You can get information. You can write to us. You can offer to volunteer. And if you are an American citizen, you can give me money no matter what state you're in. So we'd love to hear. We're looking to raise money. We're doing a lot of mailings. We're doing a lot before November 6th. And if you're in New York or wherever you are, vote on November 6th. Get to the ballot box. The last place we can all tell the truth without having an argument, the ballot booth. Go there on November 6th.
Amen. And thank you for being my wingman this evening, Pete.
Oh, you're so welcome. Such an honor.
Thank you. Okay. Well, that wraps it up for
Oh my God, that was so much fun. I'm sorry. I was not worried if I was like, am I on? Like, I was like, wanted to sneeze.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this week on Walk Away with Brandon Straka. Tune in next week, and I'm sure Brandon will be back with his charming charisma to entertain everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.